Hey guys, how's it going? One thing I've been wondering about for a while and that I've noticed some other people have been talking about is why non-saiyans became irrelevant as well as when did non-saiyans become irrelevant. And I've seen like a bunch of comments spread throughout the internet about this and I haven't really gotten a concise answer. So I decided to do some investigating in the series in order to find at least what I believe to be what the evidence shown when non-Saiyans became irrelevant as well as why they became irrelevant. So anyway, let's get started. So you can tell by these pictures I'm about to show, and about to show, of just the transition throughout the series to having numerous Earthling fighters, but eventually having only Saiyans. So we need to look back at the series as to what caused this and when this happened. So first let's look at the fight with Raditz. Now some might think that it's here, but that's problematic for two reasons. One, the second strongest character on the planet was Piccolo, and on top of that, not that many of the Z-Warriors were that far behind him. And two, Raditz was only twice as strong as both Goku and Piccolo, pretty much. So he wasn't stronger by that much. So that's a bad example to give if you want to make the argument that here is where the non-Saiyans become irrelevant. So next, let's look at Nappa and Vegeta. So at first, the Earthlings end up beating the Cybermen, so that's one thing that discounts this already. And second, again, Nappa and even Vegeta weren't, they were stronger than the other Z-Warriors, but they weren't like light years stronger, as Kwame likes to say. And secondly, they could have trained under certain circumstances and could have beaten Nappa and Vegeta. And on top of all of that, certain techniques would have killed them as well, so putting it here is also problematic. So let's next look at the Ginyu Force. Now this would be a better spot to put it than any Saiyan Saga fight. However, I still find it problematic to put that moment here because again, like with enough training, the non-Saiyan Z-Warriors could have conceivably beaten the Ginyu Force, and that's without fusing with anybody or without anything like that. So in other words, even if Piccolo didn't fuse with Nail, he could have beaten the Ginyu Force had he gotten enough training from certain sources, like King Kai for instance. So let's go ahead to the Android Saga. So obviously they're very irrelevant here because Yamcha gets impaled, and on top of that, the only ones who are able to even beat 19 are Goku, who's suffering a heart virus, so he wasn't able to beat them, and Vegeta. We see Piccolo fight Android 20, but it's doubtful he could have beaten 19. So we need to go back a bit earlier. So you might be wondering, where's the cause of all this? Like, when did this start? Well, it started with Frieza. So let me explain. You see, before this, although the characters were stronger than the Z-Warriors, they weren't stronger by that much. Up to that point, before Frieza, the strongest characters that they went up against were the Ginyu Force, obviously. But even the Ginyu Force weren't, actually light years stronger than all the Z-Warriors, especially the non-Saiyan Z-Warriors, although they were stronger. Frieza is a type of villain where his power increases so much that the only way that Goku was able to beat him was through the use of Super Saiyan. Even Kaioken times 20 wasn't enough. So when you look at it that way, and considering the fact that Piccolo might not have ever surpassed max power Frieza had it not been for him fusing with Kami. Like, to me that indicates, and the fact that he needed to fuse with Nail in order to even have a chance against Frieza indicates to me that Frieza was the villain that really divided the series. Because before that, I feel that with enough training, the Z-Warriors could have caught up. Well, not... They wouldn't have closed the gap between his power and Goku's, but they would have been able to be a lot more even in terms of power. But ever since Goku turned Super Saiyan and from then on, it was pretty much a lost cause for the non-Saiyans. Even Piccolo had trouble keeping up because there's only so many Namekians he can fuse with. So anyway, those are my thoughts on when and why non-Saiyans became irrelevant. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video and see you guys later.